So yeah, we're going to tie into Ant-Man. There's your warning. We told you at the beginning of the episode that we are going to spoil Ant-Man. We know that it just came out, but I would rather us talk about this and get it out of our system.
Yeah.
So there's your warning. There's the spoiler warning. We're gonna talk all about Ant-Man. So if you haven't seen it yet, don't want to be spoiled, I'm rambling to give you time to click the stop button. Hopefully you'll rejoin us after you've seen the movie, or if you don't really care about spoilers. I will say that if you've seen Marvel movies, there's not much that can be spoiled with this, honestly.
Yeah.
It's formulaic. So here we go. We're going to start talking about it. If you're hanging with us, welcome. If you've left us, you're not hearing it. So hope you'll come back. All right. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Was not terrible.
That's what I said. It's not a bad movie.
Was not a bad movie. Was it a great movie? Absolutely not.
No, it had spots in there where, one of the things I had commented on the way out was, there are spots in there where you can obviously tell in the script that they wanted to grab you, like spots where there was heightened emotion. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
It felt everything fell flat. Everything, even the ending fell flat. Yeah, I mean the best thing about it was the 2 after credit scenes.
Yeah, and for me, really only the after the last scene was the one that really made me happy.
Right.
Everything else was all right.
You didn't like the Council of the Kings?
Didn't. No.
Meh.
It was meh. I made the comment to these guys at lunch yesterday that there was one of the kings that was not the Pharaoh one, but the other Egyptian looking one, that he was a shade of blue that reminded me of the turd meteor from Joe Dirt. Had that color.
Well, what's the thing before you start picking on him? We've got to give praise to Kang himself.
Oh, yes. Jonathan Majors was fantastic.
Yeah. It was his movie.
Great job. Yeah,
this is his movie. They really should have just been like, this is Kang. This is like Kang the Conqueror, the movie.
Yeah,
his intro. But it has to be after a superhero. So yeah.
King the Conqueror as a character was not that impressive to me. The actor playing him was.
Yes.
Jonathan Majors did a very, very. All the actors did a great job playing their roles.
They did.
It's just the writing in the movie was not up to par.
No.
The thing is that I don't think that they should have hit harder on the fact that he's killed every one of the Avengers at some point.
Yeah.
At some level of they really should have driven home harder just how many places he's conquered. Exactly.
He
would have made him a lot bigger.
He felt like the flavor of the week when it came to Marvel villains.
Well, and the problem is they're going to have to start doing that, because the thing is with and we had discussed this yesterday after we saw it, but the whole problem with everything's infinite now.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything can happen anywhere. We could reset this. We could bring the X-Men in. We could do
multiverse,
because it's multiverse,
variants.
right?
Yeah.
So nothing matters anymore except that everything matters. And when you get a new villain, why was the Council of the Kangs so afraid of this guy that they exiled him?
Yeah.
Why was he so bad?
This one guy.
This one version was so bad that they decided to. And does that mean that there's only one King the Conqueror? I mean, I'm assuming so.
You got to wonder that, because they were so happy to get rid of him. But you're right. I would love to know why they were so happy to get rid of him.
I wonder if maybe he was the one that just didn't want to play along. Like he wanted to be the one.
C-137 Rick.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty.
That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, there's so many parallels to Rick and Morty in it. Like I know you guys, Brock and Jess, have not watched too much of it. Me and Kev's watched a good bit of Rick and Morty, and there's so much drawn that like I don't think it may not have been on purpose, but it's very similar.
There's no way they didn't do the Council of the Kangs scene and didn't think of Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
because they even had it set up like it was the Council of the Ricks. I mean, come on, really? all they were missing were the different variants and versions of Mortys. That's it. It was just different versions of Ricks, or I'm sorry, Kangs in this case. Yeah, it had a lot of similarities throughout the movie. I was picking up on vibes, even like some of the feel of the movie. I think Bo, you had said that your big comment was like the first part of it was like, right?
Yes, when they first go into the quantum realm, you've got all these vastly different alien character species. They're all engaging, and you've got a big scene at a bar, cantina. I mean, that was me. Like, and you've got the ship, the fancy ships, the crazy creatures. I mean, it's trying to be Star Wars, and I mean that's. I don't know, like it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It was just like, I've seen this before. I guess that might be
Disney's borrowing assets and ideas from another franchise.
I didn't get the Star Wars vibe until they all changed clothes to go there and had to disguise itself, and it was like, okay, they're like walking across Tatooine.
Yeah,
that's the feel that I got. That was the one time I got Star Wars.
And I get what they were wanting to do is the quantum realm is alien. They're trying to be, and
Well, then they had the Tatooine, the space caravan that she ran into at that one point. And the other thing was when Bill Murray's character, which I can never remember his character,
Krylar.
Really,
Krylon. I'm trying to call him spray paint.
Spray paint.
As soon as his chip opens up and he's coming down, it went into Tron. Like the music was very Tron-like, and I was like, because I literally I said, "What in the Tron?" So I mean, Disney was like seriously borrowing from different franchises.
Well, when they own 90% of the movie industry, but
it was just it was just weird.
And I really hated that they did not have a bigger part for Bill.
Yeah,
they stuck him in the promos, like, oh, there's Bill Murray. He's going to be all in this, and. With him and he's gone. It's like, come on. And us, especially as Ghostbusters fans, we're like, Bill,
That was the fun thing with me. Like my Oliver was with us and he saw it, and I was like, oh, it's Bill Murray, and Oliver's like, who? I said, it's Peter Venkman. Oh yeah. Because like I said, he said, his afterlife's still fresh on his mind, so that's what he recognized.
Yeah,
I've never wanted to hit a kid before in my life.
What did you say?
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
That's Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. No, look, I ain't never hit a kid.
Which for like I said, I'll go ahead and tell you, for someone who had a young child with him there, a 7, almost 8-year-old boy, and for him, the star of the show was it Florb or the pink alien thing?
Yeah.
That was for
yes.
that was a cute character.
Yeah,
it really was. It was.
I really also like that. I forget his name, but the black man that had the ability,
the mind reader.
The mind reader. And
yes,
he would flash whenever he was reading your mind. That guy was really cool.
Yeah,
he was really, really cool.
Yeah, and he was used for exposition for the most part. He was filling in our parts, kind of the audience's part.
Yeah, we know this already.
Yeah. So but yeah, I did like him. He was just
all the side characters were interesting. I mean, that was the cool thing about it.
They were, yeah.
The only thing, like, even though I know they tied it back to the first movie, is MODOK. It was cool to see MODOK, but like the big head was very off-putting.
Yeah.
It was. I'm not that deep into Marvel. I have heard the name MODOK. I have seen the character. I've seen the toys. Those were not off-putting to me, but when his mask came off, and all of a sudden his face was like this,
just weird looking.
It was like, okay, y'all forgot to like make it a little bit taller so it stretches. And make it looked too Photoshop stretched.
It looked like a 10-year-old Photoshop job.
It was we understand it's disproportionate, but it was still very jarring. Like it didn't look right.
Yeah.
Well, and MODOK, I mean, honestly, brought MODOK. I was probably more excited to see MODOK than anybody because I knew he was going to be in there, and I'm really glad. Even though the character he turned out to be was weird, it made sense. I was
Well,
glad that he got more screen time than just because I thought he was going to have the Bill Murray treatment where it was going to be like he's in one scene and then he's out. But he was like through the entire thing, and he had a whole redemption arc.
Yeah.
At the end, which was really awkward.
Yeah,
but
redemption arc at the end.
Yeah,
but but they had to flash back to the first Ant-Man movies to let you know who this guy was, because who remembers him? I didn't remember him.
Right.
So at least they gave us some explanation of who he was, because I had totally forgotten this character.
Bo, I don't know if you know this, but Jeff, the main writer, Jeff Loveness of this movie, is also an active writer on Rick and Morty.
Oh, that makes sense. There you go.
And there's the Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, but yeah, he did Rick and Morty, and he also did The Office as well.
Okay.
All right.
As far as writing chops go, so that's why it's like Rick and Morty. It was because we have a Rick and Morty writer.
Okay.
That did it.
Well, for me, because I'm the only one in the group with a daughter, I did like Cassie a whole lot.
Oh, the dad vibes were strong. All the stuff with all that, yeah.
The father-daughter connection in this really grabbed me from that aspect, because, my daughter is so much smarter than I am in so many ways. I could see her pulling stunts like I don't know if she would ever build a signal to the quantum realm or anything.
Yeah.
But that one got me. There was, I'll admit, there was only one time in the movie I laughed, and apparently I have a track record of this. I had a girlfriend break up with me in the 9th grade after we went to see Home Alone because I didn't laugh at Home Alone. I have never thought that movie was funny. I've never liked that movie. But I remember being in the theater, and when we left, she turned to me and she goes, "You didn't laugh the first time." I'm like, "It wasn't a funny movie to me." And
this guy's a psycho.
Yeah. She broke up with me like a couple of days later. She's like, "You don't have a sense of humor." I'm like, "You really don't know me, do you?" I just didn't like Macaulay Culkin at the time. He was so off-putting to me back then. But anyway, this time I did laugh at least once, and that's at one point towards the end of the movie when Scott and his daughter are both giant sized and they hug, and he's like, "Oh, this is like hugging Godzilla." That was the time I laughed. Every other time was like, okay,
just it's like
there were things that got a chuckle out of me, but I mean, it was
everything was a chuckle. It was just okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
The applause light comes on where we're supposed to or the laugh light where we're supposed to laugh,
right?
Kind of thing, it's kind of way it's like it was prescribed, like everything was prescribed,
Yeah,
and it wasn't even. And honestly, I mean, I always laugh at Paul Rudd. I mean, I love him. I just love his sense of humor, and like at the beginning, but it's Paul Rudd. It's like him just being himself in a movie. And they didn't really let him do as much of himself. In this, because there was, and I did want to mention Michelle Pfeiffer, her part and what she did in this, she did it really well. Where she was like, we saw it in the preview where it was like, you're contacting the quantum realm, shut it off, and then they all get sucked down in there, and then just her continuing when you realize why she doesn't want to talk, and she's just been so tight-lipped about it, was because she obviously feels guilty. She has the guilt behind it,
right?
That was huge. And when we finally got to see the story of what she did to prevent him from leaving, man, that was cool. And the fact that it's like she didn't just spend 30 years down there; she was like writing her whole full story.
I wonder, now you've got me thinking. So this builds more off of the first Ant-Man movie more than Ant-Man and the Wasp. I wonder if maybe it would have been a little bit more favorable, palatable if it had been the second Ant-Man movie instead of the third one. You know what I mean? Because it builds more off the first movie than it did the second. But I mean,
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Ant-Man and the Wasp wasn't out before Loki, though, right?
No, Ant-Man and the Wasp was 2018.
They had to wait on Loki.
Yeah. Which I get. Well, of course, it was Ant-Man and the Wasp was before. It was
Endgame, was it?
It was released after Endgame.
After Endgame.
Endgame, but it was story-wise takes place before.
Well, you know, we saw the movie with someone else who is not much of a Marvel fan at all. It was my girlfriend Jennifer, who was there with us, and she had literally the primer for her for this movie was we sat down and we watched Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all she needed was Loki.
Mm-hmm.
She walked in there. We watched Loki. We finished that last episode where, you know, you have the timekeeper and all that stuff. And then, you know, what happens there at the end. And then we immediately went and watched the trailer, and she was like, "Oh, I see why you wanted me to watch this." And she saw Jonathan Majors and she saw all that. So when she went in, she left and she was like, "Yeah, I understand everything." I mean, she said there were some references in there that I didn't get from previous movies because I haven't seen them. But overall, she's like, I understood everything that was going on. So I don't know if that harkens back to this movie being more shallow, maybe, or more, maybe having a more of an entry level ramp to it. You know, a more shallow entry level. I'm not sure.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is I'm just not. I'm not either. And I'm again. I'm just gonna go back. I mean, the first phase of Marvel, leading up to Infinity War, was that's the best Marvel. That's been the best Marvel to me. And you know, when it was over with Infinity War and Endgame, all this, and I was like, okay, I wanted to be excited about. I just haven't had that excitement with Marvel since that came to an end.
I mean, we still have Captain. You know, he's a different guy now, right?
Yeah.
So we've got those. I mean, we have a lot of the characters. So where are they at? Where are they not bringing them in?
Yeah.
And I like the first Ant-Man. I really like the first Ant-Man movie.
Oh yes.
But
and I mean,
everyone after has just not been as okay.
Well, I mean, and we're about to get Secret Wars. You know, Secret Wars is Secret Wars going to be a big thing. And you're talking about. I mean, it's going to kind of bring it back to what we know, but at the same time, that's going to be kind of all over the place. So
yeah.
I think this is just kind of the life of Marvel.
Well, it's just like I said, I guess within from all the way from Iron Man to Infinity War or Endgame, you know, it was all kind of self-contained to this one thing going on. Now it's a bigger box, you know.
You had a villain in Thanos that was built up.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, going back to what we said about Kang is in this particular instance of Kang. What's his backstory? Who's he killed? What all has he done? I mean, they gave us a little bit of this is something he's done, but we don't know the full magnitude of everything he's done. Thanos,
that was a writing thing too. It was very obviously a writing thing because the thing is, Jonathan Majors, he delivered his part.
Oh yeah,
right.
It was beautiful. It's just the fact that it wasn't written to give us. We walked away knowing that this guy's probably pretty evil, but why?
You're right.
Like why?
The version of King that was in Loki was much better.
Yeah.
Because they told the story with him. You know, this guy was, but you know, Thanos, I mean, we knew what he was doing. We knew what he was capable of.
Right.
He'd been showing us, you know, there was such a multi-movie build up to him as the big bad for Endgame and Infinity War. You know, the further we get from phases 1 through 3 and right at the beginning of phase 4, you know, with Spider-Man No Way Home, that era of Marvel, the Infinity Saga, you can't touch it. It's wonderful. There are one or two questionable movies, you know, Thor Dark World
right,
and all, but at the same time, for an entire saga, I mean, we're up to what now? This is the 31st movie, 30th, 31st, something like that.
We're that deep into it.
Yeah,
we're that deep.
It's the most profitable movie franchise in history.
It is
at
this point, like by a huge margin.
Yeah, but we were tied into that one timeline, and I think that's the big thing. The more we get into the multiverse, the less intrigue it is for me, because you know, everybody here knows how much I love Scarlet Witch. I love Elizabeth Olsen. I mean, right there, my autographed picture of her. When Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness hit, I didn't, you know, when Scarlet Witch died, I'm sitting there going, okay, it's fine. I'll see her somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's what the multiverse has done to me. It's like okay, all right. So this one version is gone.
Wonder if this might be what they're going to build towards. Maybe we're going to have this phase is the multiverse saga, and then they're finally going to be like, no, this has to stop. Boom. Maybe they're going to be the big thing. Instead of stopping Thanos, we're closing the multiverse. No more.
Yeah.
Because like with me, like you're
I
talking.
would be totally surprised at that though.
I know, but
it's such a convenient engine for them to pull in X-Men, to pull in the Fantastic Four, to pull in any other franchise that should have been there to begin with in the mainstream that we're in, should have been there to begin with to bring them in.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like what they're going to do is they're going to milk the multiverse until we're almost sick of it, and then they're going to do what you're saying, Bo. They're going to go, cool, everybody's here. Cool.
Well, see, because right now the things I'm interested with in probably the only other Marvel movie on the horizon I'm very interested with is whenever they finally do decide to make Blade. I'm looking forward to that. That's something I'm looking forward to. Blade seems to be it. That's the only Marvel movie I can think that's coming out that I'm excited for.
And what universe is going to have vampires everywhere?
Yeah.
Is it going to be at this one, or is it going to be the multiverse universe?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that it would be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bo, had you ever seen Wakanda Forever? Did you ever watch that?
No, I need to go back and watch it. I think now it's on Disney Plus. I need to watch it. Which I know y'all rant and raved about how good it was, and I'm sure it's excellent. Like I've heard nothing but good things.
Incredible.
It's it's a love letter to Chadwick, first of all, but second of all, bringing in Prince Namor and everything.
Yeah,
that was a good angle.
And Namor being the first mutant.
Yeah.
The first mutant. Openly mentioned he's a mutant. I mean, that was huge. That was the big no word. We can't say that because we don't own that word.
Yeah.
So now they mention it. But I was gonna say, it made me that more than anything, that movie made me excited because there was someone in that movie that built an Iron Man suit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that? And that made me excited, and it made me realize that, like with what you were saying earlier, Brock, the big thing that I miss is Iron Man. So like if they just brought his daughter in and had her doing what he was doing, which they were kind of promising us for that anyway.
Yeah.
I would be happy. I mean, we could have this stuff back. They just need to move on with it. And now, Bob Iger's back, and he's already signaled that things on Disney Plus and Marvel and Star Wars are going to slow down.
Yeah,
he wants them to slow down.
Yeah,
they should.
So
it's been overkill.
Yeah, it's been a lot. And one of the biggest gripes that I have on Disney Plus is the fact that, obviously Disney wants to make as much money out of each franchise as they can. And then they'll have something that will be ready to be released, and then they'll have something Marvel or something that needs to go. So they have to slot everything in, and one franchise has to wait for another franchise, has to wait for another franchise to go in the scheduling, and that just it almost feels like it's jockeying from movie dates.
Yeah,
like they do every year with big releases between. It's almost like they're competing studios.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about that.
Yeah.
And they'll drag me back in, without kicking and screaming once they get to X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Oh yes.
Once they get to characters that I know, they're getting so deep in the weeds right now. I don't know a lot of these characters, and sadly, it's the same thing with DC. This first stage that's going to kick off this rebirth of the DCU. James Gunn recently made all these announcements, and I'm like, who? I've heard of a couple of the characters, but I'm like, who's this faction and what group is this? And it's
I'm most excited about them actually doing lanterns, like actually doing the green lantern.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because Lantern is a major character.
Trust him on factions, because if it wasn't for him, nobody still wouldn't cared about Guardians.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I mean, you gotta trust him on that one.
And I'm certainly going to. It's just I wish I had more knowledge because I didn't get this deep into the comics. Maybe that's why I love Infinity Saga so much, is because I know Captain America, I know Iron Man, I know Hulk. Those were the big heavy hitters. Now we're getting off into this guy who had a minimal run of a few issues elsewhere, and
I can't believe you didn't know who MODOK was.
For the comic enthusiast, I'm sure. They are over the moon with all this.
Yeah, and I'm not a comic enthusiist.
I'll admit, I'm a casual.
Like Moon Knight.
I'm a casual probably fan.
No, don't get me on Moon Knight.
So.
Well, I mean, the reason I mentioned MODOK, the reason that it kind of surprised me is because MODOK was kind of like used as kind of like a sub villain in comics a lot, because that's just kind of what he was, and he was always crazy. You know, anytime you saw him, he was either like really smart or crazy.
Well, honestly,
I mean, go ahead.
Honestly, for me, that was not how I expected them to do MODOK. I kept thinking they were going to take Dr. Zola when he got computerized with Winter Soldier. I figured that's eventually how they were going to do. That was my fan way they were going to do MODOK. But
that would have been really good.
That was always my intention. I thought they were going to do it.
Well, we had to have an Ant-Man tie-in. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I get it. But that's how I always thought they were doing it.
Poor Cassie. She's like, yeah, this is the guy that tried to kill me when I was 6.
Yeah.
The big B man. It's like, is that the B man? Yes, that's the B man.
Yeah.
Well, Ant-Man Quantumania, you know, it was your standard Marvel fare. I mean, there was a gigantic CGI battle scene. You know, if there was if there was ever a fault in Shang-Chi, which was one of the outstanding Marvel movies of recent, that's still in my top 5 of Marvel movies, was at the end, all of a sudden there's the giant CGI battle, even though the rest of the movie was fantastic. If they can find a way to somehow just scale back these giant fake battles, that would be a refreshing change of pace. It's like the She-Hulk show, Jess and I really enjoyed, because it flipped things on their ear for a little bit. You know, when that show ended, you know, they were really playing up breaking the fourth wall and everything, and you know, even bringing Kevin Feige into it as a robot, but still, it switched things up, and we're like, hey, this is great. This is something different.
But it was a good refresh. Very good refresh.
It was Ant-Man was a straight vanilla Marvel movie.
Basically, yeah. And that's if I had to sum it up, I agree with you on that.
The one thing that I really enjoyed, if there was one thing I fully enjoyed, was the after credit scene. Because they did have Kang, and they were like back in like Victorian time or whatever, or kind of like maybe in the 20s, the vaudeville type era. You know, there he is, you know, the amazing Time Man or whatever, up on stage doing a vaudeville act, and there's Loki and why did his name just escape me? Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson's character.
Yeah.
Morbius.
Morbius.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Mobius. Mobius or Morbius? Which one was Jared Leto?
Morbius is the vampire.
Morbius is the vampire?
It's Morbid time.
All right, so Mobius. Yeah. So Loki and Mobius are sitting in the audience, and they are very dapper looking.
Yes.
You know, 1920s dress, and I'm like, oh, give me that. So that's going to bring on the second season of Loki, and so I loved how that looked, and seeing Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, beautiful, and seeing that version of Kang in that dapper 20s dress, I was like, all right, I'm on board with that.
He looked very Booker T. Washington in it. That's what I thought he was, like, kind of the
or Frederick Douglass.
Yeah, there you go, Frederick Douglass. Yeah.
Had that look. He looked really good. So
Dude,
I'm
looking
watch
forward. Jonathan Majors in just about anything. That guy is incredible.
Yeah,
So I mean, I'm latched onto this character just because he's here.
Yeah.
You know, he's incredible.
He's great.
Once the Kang saga is over, it will not be his fault if it's good or bad. He is done. He is exceptional.
He's doing his job. Absolutely. So, you know, I'd give Ant-Man Quantumania a C, maybe C minus.
Yeah,
you know, it was all right.
C plus.
Would you give your good father's description? It was a movie.
Yeah. Well, that was something.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, it was something.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I liked it. Like I told you, I liked it. Didn't hate it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's going to be like one of the heavy rotations. Like, let's go back and watch Quantumania again.
No.
You know,
it was Ant-Man's Thor: Love and Thunder for me.
Yes, thank you.
It was just okay. There it is.
Yeah, I still need to watch
It
some.
really did have those vibes of Love and Thunder. It really did have that, where it's like, other than to advance the story a little bit, it really didn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's the thing: is I see the trailers, and the trailers get me so excited, and I maybe I just set my expectations too high. So please do not let me be disappointed with Guardians, because
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
Guardians.
But
Please don't let
James
me
did
be.
James did Guardians 3, so
Mhm.
I-
Right.
Well, and Guardians 3 is probably going to be sad.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't. Yes, I'm preparing myself for that as well. So, which I mean, really, when you think about it, they've all been, they've all had good gut punches in them.
Yeah.
Each
I'm
movie
just happy to
has.
see
So,
Adam Warlock finally.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
another character I'm unfamiliar with.
Well, he was much more involved with taking down Thanos in the comics, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
surprised he's this
That's
late
why
into
I
the
wanna see him.
MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I want to see him. I mean, and then I saw who they cast for him. I don't know the actor's name, but when I saw who they cast for him, and there's only a couple of shots of him in the trailer, but I was
Oh, he
like,
looks
that's Adam
good.
Warlock.
He looks
That's Adam Warlock.
better. Well, because he was there in 2, and he
Yeah.
was talked about. He was discussed there in 2. So,
And they
you know,
showed his little chamber in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
I need to
Right.
rewatch too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I think that's going to be really good, but it's kind of like sewing it up. They're like sewing up the Guardians, everything
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be it. So,
Yeah. I'm sure Marvel will not invite James back anytime soon for
Probably not, since he's the Kevin Feige of the Warner Brothers world.
right. I think
Yeah.
he's kind of out of the Marvel game now. So,
Yeah. Enjoyed him while he was there for sure.
mhm.
Just like the Russo brothers.
Well,
Man,
come on.
I'm missing them right now.
Disney did try to cancel him there a little bit. I mean, with the whole controversy.
They tried,
that went on
but
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
that cast stood behind him
Mhm.
Yeah.
and fought for him.
As well they should have.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep. So if you go see Ant-Man, hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just realize it's there. It's there to further the King story along a little bit.
Hmm.
And maybe it might be
Loki.
something we come back to it and be like, okay, that makes more sense now. Maybe that's what happened.
I hope that's the case. I hope they never revisit Eternals. I hope that movie just gets erased from everybody's memory.
Ooh,
That
hard.
was straight trash.
That was painful to sit through. It really was.
that I never want
If
to see
they
that movie
hadn't been, it was almost like it was written by. It's like the dialogue and everything was written by M. Night Shyamalan. Where he's like,
Well,
M. Night Shyamalan, he's really good with stories, but the dialogue is just like, now we're going to introduce this person. Now we're going to introduce this person. Now we're going to introduce this person. And now the
Mhm.
movie's over. Okay. Fine.
Yeah,
Just
I have no attachment, no interest in any of those characters from that movie.
It's
Well-
too much. It's that movie's just too much. There's too much in it.
Mhm.
Too much going on. You have nobody to focus on.
yeah. Who did Shang-Chi? I'm trying to remember the name. Was it a
I don't
lady?
know, but it's awesome.
Mhm.
Bring them back. Please bring them back for more Marvel movies. Shang-Chi was
I mean,
fantastic.
it was beautiful movie. Story
Yeah.
was great.
And bring back Sam Raimi. I want more.
I mean,
Evil
the
Dead
big
in
thing
the
with
multiverse.
Marvel is Marvel's always been kind of hit and miss with stuff. Like Thor: Dark World was a miss. And then they hit. They did a lot of hits there, and it was really good. And now they're doing more misses. It seems like
Yeah.
it's like everything's just getting. I mean, and I don't. I've been kind of like wondering: is it me? Is it just am I just like not getting it? But I mean, hearing you talk about it the way you did, Brock, that's exactly the way I feel. It's like I don't feel invested in these characters anymore,
Right.
No, because
new
they're not the heavy hitter characters.
and they're disposable, kind of.
They're very disposable.
Hmm.
And Marvel's proving them to be disposable.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
like we said.
Yeah.
Why is this king so hated that he's exiled? Where's the story? Oh,
Why
just-
should I
he's
fear?
done.
Why should I fear him as a villain?
He
Yeah.
almost
When-
got
Because he
beat down
doesn't
by
seem-
giant ants.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's.
I mean,
he does
come
not.
on.
His intimidation factor is just not there for me, like it
Oh.
was for Thanos.
And speaking of the bad writing of this movie, the other thing that caught my attention was when Hank Pym is
Yeah.
he's piloting the ship. He's got like these worms
Yeah.
attach onto his arm, so he's flying the ship. And then they all decide, let's go do this. Let's go do this. And he's already got his hands in the glowworm controls. He's like, I'll drive. And like, no kidding, you're already attached to the ship. Drive.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hank.
Yeah.
Captain. Thanks,
Yeah.
Captain Obvious.
By the way, that was pure Rick and Morty right there.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oddball control panel,
Yes.
uncomfortable.
God, that was so Rick and Morty.
Yeah. At least Hank wasn't drooling out of the side of his mouth and burping all the time. That's a big reason I don't like Rick and Morty.
Oh.
Probably
Because
just didn't make
the bodily functions.
Yeah, it just didn't make the cut. They probably had a scene like that where he was doing it.
Oh my! So every actor was fine in what they did. It was just the writing and the story was,
Yeah.
I will say to anybody, if you're still here and you're listening to us talk about this, I will say you need to see the movie. If anything, to forward the story and to understand who King is, because he's going to be significant in the upcoming movies. We don't know how. We don't know if it's going to be a horde of Kangs that come after everybody, or if it's just going to be them breaking out the King the Conqueror guy and then, bringing him and saying, all right, we're going to unleash our biggest prisoner on you guys. We don't know how it's going to happen, but you do need to see this movie, unfortunately, so that you know what the next thing is going to happen, especially to tie into Loki. If anything, this will tie Loki together.
Yeah.
Just find the after credit scene and you'll be fine.
I will say though, to the credit of the special effects team, the scene where Kang was absolutely going gangbusters on everybody with his out of his hand, that was pretty cool. If it had lasted a little bit longer and it had a little more weight to it, and he hadn't have gotten almost taken down by giant ants, I think that would have been better. That they really messed him up bad by that. I mean, he should have been able to just tear through those ants like they were nothing. But,
I did like King's. I did like King's outfit. That purple and the green.
Yeah,
sharp looking.
Oh yeah,
it's good. That he goes to his blue whenever he shoots his shield on his face. Yeah,
yeah. He had a great look to him. I will say that much.
Mm-hmm.
So
he actually, I think overall appeal and look probably looks better than Thanos in my opinion. I mean, Thanos looked amazing because he's the big purple guy who's big, imposing. But this guy's
a raisin for a chin.
I just realized purple is the color of evil in Marvel, because you think about it, you've got Thanos who's purple, or wore purple, then you've got Kang who wore purple, Doctor Doom who has a big purple cape,
Agatha Harkness.
Yes, and then Galactus is big purple guy. Mm-hmm. So that just made me think. I was thinking that's the color scheme of purple is bad in the Marvel universe.
No,
right
Sam
now
Jackson must be like Birkin because he loves purple, man.
That's why he was.
Wear purple. No, you're not bad.
Even Magneto.
Yeah, Magneto, purple.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're about to go down.
Yeah. And like I said,
I said that while wearing a purple shirt. So,
are you trying to sell?
Oh, you're the villain. You're the villain of the
I'm not in Marvel.
That's my part. I'm playing. I'm the villain.
Yeah. Once X-Men and Fantastic Four jump in there, that's when they'll draw me back in to getting excited. Until then, I'll watch, even though I really don't know if I'm going to go see the Marvels. I have zero interest in that.
I have zero interest and don't really care. I
appreciate the roles in the other movies and shows and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll probably wind up seeing it maybe when it hits Disney Plus. I don't know if I'm going to burn an AMC A-list movie of the week for it. I don't know. Who knows?
Not enthused or pumped about that one.
Oh, September or November?
No, November.
November. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you got
I'll see it. I mean, it seems like it's probably going to be one of those movies that's really, I don't know. I mean, maybe this one will be tied into it. I don't know.
I will say Captain Marvel was better the second time I saw it. The first time I didn't like it. The second time I watched it, I was okay with it.
Yeah, it was much better the second time.
Yeah, I warmed the second time I saw it too.